What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Travis. Of course, this is TWA Motorsports, and today we are going to be working on the Yukon a little bit. So what are we going to be doing? Well, just like the title says, we're going to be changing the oil, and I'm going to be deleting the DOD. I haven't had this thing very long, but when I bought it, they changed the oil, and it's already ready for an oil change. That is how many miles we have put on this thing. I literally haven't had time to do anything other than drive, it seems like. So it is time for an oil change. I'm going to do it myself. The oil that I'm using, of course, all the stuff, guys, that I use will be listed in the description down below, but I'm going to be using some Mobil 1 extended performance, high mileage. This thing just hit 90,000 miles. Honestly, as long as it's 0-20, I like Mobil 1. That's what I'm going to be using. They make an advanced fuel economy one, I believe, and then they make a basic one, I also think. So also going to be using a K&N oil filter, and I'm going to put a little sea foam in this. Now, it's not as important on these because they are direct injection, and so none of the gas is actually spraying on the valves to clean those off. So down the road, I am going to have to get a catch can, guys. If you have one of these newer ones, you're going to want to put a catch can on. I will show you the video of when I install one of those. I've got it ordered. I just need to get time to make a video on it. But after we get done with this, I'm going to go in and grab my laptop, and I'm going to show you guys how to delete the DOD. It's very simple. I'm going to delete it from the electronic version, not obviously manually by pulling the cam out and the lifters and whatnot. But the less that thing is on, the less likely you are to collapse one of those lifters and then to fail. So basically, once they collapse, then they have to pump back up, and that's generally when the failure is. They don't want to pump back up. So if we keep them from shutting down, you can prolong it. Now, it's not necessarily going to make sure that it doesn't happen, but you know, it helps. So also, other stuff that I've got, just miscellaneous stuff, guys. I've got gloves on, obviously. I've got some towels to clean up my mess. I've got a drain pan, a couple different options over there. I actually think I'm gonna have to set this one on top of my lift drain pan because it's full and I don't have anywhere to put it right now. And then a 15 millimeter is what you're going to need to get the oil plug loose if it is the original. And then I'm going to use this guy instead of the adapter that I normally use. So anyway, all we need to do at this point is I don't have it very far off the ground just because I like to work on my little chair. I'll list that in the description as well, guys. Perfect for a garage. If you have one of these, if you have a garage, get one of these chairs. Absolutely amazing. Best gift my wife ever gave me. So let's roll under there and we'll show you this process. Now that we're under the car, pretty obvious what we're dealing with here. We've got the drain plug here and then the filter here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead, we'll do the drain plug first. 15 millimeter. I don't know if you guys can see, but right above here, there's a bunch of silicone. And I noticed when I bought this, they had a service ticket, and the service ticket said reseal oil pan. Well, I don't know if you guys know this, but all these newer LT blocks, they actually don't use an oil pan gasket anymore. They just used a gasket maker material, which is kind of crazy. But it looks like they took it down and resealed it, which is kind of scary because I doubt they did it the correct way and took it completely out. But one thing you'll also notice on these newer things is that this oil is just like water. That 020 oil is so thin, and honestly, you know, a lot of people go back and forth whether to go back with the 020. Some people go with the 530. Honestly, guys, these engines were designed for 0-20. The tolerances are better than they used to be. I'm going to use 0-20 just because I've never had an issue with that. Maybe when it gets like 150,000 miles, if I have it that long, we might switch over to like a 30 weight oil. But for now, we're just going to let this drain out, which because it's so thin, this is not warm either. I generally like to change them warm. Because it's so thin, it doesn't take long to get out of there. As a matter of fact, I think because this is so close, I might be able to get lucky and go ahead and loosen it as well. That way we can have both of them making a mess at the same time. You can see why I keep towels handy. We'll let that drain, and then while we're letting that drain, I generally clean off my oil plug, and we make sure that this little rubber gasket is good, and mine looks like it's been replaced actually. So we're gonna go ahead and reuse it. So we've let the oil drain. It's just dripping now. Doesn't, like I said, doesn't take long. I'm gonna go ahead and put our plug back in, and I'll list the new plug down below if you guys need to get a new one. Like I said, if that gasket inside there looks kind of rough or doesn't, you know what a worn out gasket looks like, it's just all beat up and doesn't want to seat properly. I'm just gonna snug this down. Generally it's 18 foot-pounds is what these torque to. Same way with the filter. But on the filter, I like to clean this off. And we want to make sure that none of that old rubber seal didn't stick. I know I tell you guys this in every oil change video, but if it did, you're gonna have issues. So make sure that it's still stuck to the filter and not to the housing here. And we're ready to put our new filter on. Now, because the filter mounts that way, I'm going to pull it out and fill it as far up with oil as I can. So if I can fill it almost all the way to the top, then that's just less time than it's going to be cold starting with no oil in the filter. Generally when it starts, it fills up the filter, and I don't want it to have to work any harder than it has to. So I'm gonna fill it up and we're gonna screw it into place, and then I probably will get my attachment, because the bottom of the K&N has a 1 inch, I think it's a 1 inch adapter, so we can torque it down to 18 foot-pounds as well. Sometimes some call for 22, but 18 should be good enough, guys. We've got the filter here. The other thing I like to do is take a little bit of that oil that I poured in there and put on this little rubber gasket, this little rubber ring on the top. Helps soften it up. And we are good to put it in place. And why did I choose a K&N over, you know, that Delco that I took off of it? Honestly, guys, I don't really think there's an issue with Delco. It just seems that K&N's a little better quality as far as made. It seems to be metal all the way through, and it seems like the newer Delco stuff is plastic on the inside. I don't know. There's kind of different thoughts on filters and stuff, but that's just my opinion. I do like the K&N. You'll see me use wicks a lot. So I'm gonna go grab my torque wrench, torque both these down, and then I'll probably, you guys know how I am, so I'll probably wipe a bunch of stuff up down here, and then we'll be back up top. We'll put some oil in this thing. So unlike any other GM that we've had on this channel, the fill for this is on the driver's side. Kind of odd, but this is a 6.2, so it's asking for 8 quarts. Now, it's a little bit different here on these direct injection engines, the way you check the oil. I don't know that it really matters, but they say that it needs to be off for at least 2 hours before you check it. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna put exactly 8 quarts in it. And the reason why I'm gonna do that is because a lot of times that oil is so thin that it all runs out. You don't really have any left in there. We may go like 7 3/4 quarts just to be on the safe side, but there's no good way to check it like immediately after pouring oil in it like you would before. Now you can get a gauge on, you know, whether you're really short or you got way too much, but to get an accurate reading, you need to follow the manual, which is to wait at least 2 hours. And they say that if you can't wait at least 2 hours, wait at least 15 to 30 minutes with the engine off before you check it. So we're gonna go ahead, pour those almost those 2 quarts in, or those 2 2-gallon containers into this, and then we'll go from there. So I put, like I said, about 7 3/4, I guess you'd say. And I think the 5.3s call for like 6.5 or 7, so they're a little less. Same process though. They're direct injection as well. At this point, we can probably pull the dipstick just to make sure, but like I said, you're not gonna get a real accurate reading. The dipstick is right there behind it. As a matter of fact, let's just, if I can reach it, it's incredibly hard to reach. This thing needs lowered, guys. Yeah, I mean, it's showing over full, but we also haven't started it yet, so This may be one of those things you have to check maybe the next day to be super accurate. Come out and check it before you start it in the morning. But let's go inside the car and let's reset the oil life monitor and start this thing up. Point, we're in the car. We're gonna go ahead and start it up. And then over here on this, actually, I take that back. Let's see if we can turn our air down. Right here, we have your different displays. And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna go back, the back button here, and then up to the information screen. And then you're gonna click the check mark. Once you click that check mark, you see down below, you can scroll through all your different settings. So we're gonna go to the oil life, which is this guy right here, and we're gonna hold down the check mark. Let's see if it'll reset on us. There we go, 100%. You just hold that check mark down on the oil life until it resets. And that is it. So we'll just leave it on that for now. At this point, I'm gonna go grab my laptop. We're gonna set it over here in the seat, and I'm gonna show you guys how we're going to delete the DOD. So like I said, we're not doing it mechanically. Obviously, that is the better way. If you have an issue with the lifter, take all those lifters out, replace the lifters and whatnot. But that, you know, that's not something I'm gonna do unless we have that problem. I'm just trying to keep from having that problem. So let me go grab my laptop and we'll get it hooked up under the dash here. We got the cable hooked up right beside where the hood pop is. That's where your OBD port is. I've got the old school cable version. The newer version is a Bluetooth one, so you wouldn't have the cable. You can't actually buy the cable version anymore. But once we do that, we open HP Tuners. I'm not gonna show you guys the process of buying the credits, but once you get in HP Tuners, which is, you're gonna go to VCM Editor, not the scanner. You're gonna keep your foot off the brake and hold this down to get it in accessory mode. And on the 17 up, generally you have to connect to the internet to read them. So what I've done is I clicked the little read option up here that looks like it's an arrow pointing away from a computer. And we only want to read the ECM. If you read the TCM, you will not be able to write to it without sending your computer actually to HP Tuners on the 17 Plus. But the reason I don't read it also is, even if you're not a 17 Plus, you're going to have to pay for credits when you go to flash. If you've read the TCM, you're gonna have to delete it. Hopefully that makes sense. But just go to do not read on this one, and we're going to read entire on the ECM. Now, like I said, it required me to hook to the internet in order to do this, so we're gonna see if it's even possible. I know a buddy of mine had a 17 Corvette, and in order to do his, we had to take his computer out and send it to HP Tuners. They have to unlock it. So I do know that's a requirement for tuning the transmission, which at some point I'm going to have done. But for now, all I'm wanting to do is delete the DOD. So we've got about 4 seconds left of reading. We'll see what happens here. We're trying this together. And so I saved this file, and I'll just save it as stock 17 Denali or something you can remember. Once we save it, now we can go into engine. That's where we're going to want to go. And the very first tab that's open, you can see that I've been using this quite often. Under general, under engine, there's general, idle, airflow, exhaust, fuel, spark, torque management, or torque model, and torque management. And then there's some underneath that as well. You're gonna go to fuel. As you can see, mine's already on. You can see it up there at the top. And then the very first thing that you see is DOD. All we have to do is go to disable, and that's it. Once we do that, as long as this is the only thing you're doing, we are now ready to write. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cycle the key off here for a second. And then I'm gonna push it again. And then we are going to write, which is the red arrow. See if it'll allow us to do that. Now it's going to ask you for license options, and it's asking me, is this the vehicle that you want to do? And it is. Oh, it's going to require 4 credits. So I've got to buy, this is the downside to the newer stuff. So 16 and under only requires 2 credits. The 17 and up require 4. How crazy is that? So I only have 2. It's asking me if I want to purchase more. So I will do that off camera real quick, guys. Go ahead and purchase the 2 more that I need. And then we'll come back and I'll show you the rest of the process. At this point, I added the new key, which should give us the ability now to go up here to write. And we're going to go to show license options. And down here, you see it says, this is the VIN number on the vehicle. Make sure that that matches, guys. Do not register the wrong vehicle. Make sure that that matches. If it does, yes, we want to register with 4 credits. I know it's crazy for 4 credits, but we'll go ahead and click yes, we want to do that, and hit OK. And it's saying, hey, look, we cannot undo this if you select yes here. So double check. I'm going to double check my VIN real quick, and then we will select yes. I double checked the VIN to make sure. I clicked yes. At this point, we need to turn the vehicle back to the accessory position. So no foot on the brake. Just going to hold this down. And we are going to go back up to right again. And we are going to write the calibration only. So let's click that and see what happens. All right, it's going. I wonder how long it'll take. Sometimes it takes, it seems like the newer the stuff, the quicker the write. Yeah, 26 seconds. Like on my green truck in there, or the Trans Am, these writes take about 2.5 to 3 minutes, just because, you know, it's an older computer. Once I get this flashed, I'm going to save this file as DOD delete. So you remember I saved this as Denali, or stock 17 Denali. I'll save this next one as DOD delete Denali. And we are finished, right? Complete. We can close this. We can turn this off. So hold it down, turn it off. I'm going to open the door to reset it. Make sure everything's good. And we're going to put our foot on the brake and start it back up. And we are set. That's all there is to deleting the DOD electronically. At this point, we're finished, but if you wanted to check this, get it up on the highway, go to your instant mile per gallon screen and your center display there, like where your odometer, mile per hour and whatnot is, and get up to 60 miles an hour, let off the gas completely, and see if it goes into V4. So it should say V8, and then when you let off, it should go to V4. It should not say that anymore. We should have completely disabled that, so it just stays in V8 all the time. Now, look, guys, there is other options as far as adding a range. There's a company called Range that makes a plug-in module, and I believe it's around 200 bucks. Don't quote me on that. I'll list in the description down below if you want to go that route. But it stays plugged in all the time. As long as you're driving them every day, I don't see it being a problem. You know, some people complain about it running their battery dead, but I think it'd have to set for quite a while to have that issue. But this is my preferred method. Nothing has to stay plugged in all the time. HP Tuners is more expensive than that, but if you already have it, it's about it's 200 bucks worth of credits to get this thing turned off. It sucks because if it's a 16 and under, it's only 2 credits, because I just did my neighbor's 16 Tahoe and it was only 2 credits. So the 17 and up, it's going to cost you a little bit more, but hey, the new ZR1, I want to say, is like $2,000 worth of credits for trans and engine to tune. So it's probably going to get more expensive as we go, but hopefully you guys enjoyed this video on the oil change. I mean, you know, some of you guys may already know how to do the oil change, but I wanted to just throw this both in one video just since I had time to do both. And well, I thought I had enough credits, but as you saw, I had to buy 2 more. But the next video you're going to see on this thing is I'm getting the windows tinted next week, but I told you guys, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do one big video where I take the trim off, and I'm going back and forth on the trim on the door. I'm going to take the letters off, like the Denali off for sure, because I just think that looks kind of hokey. And then of course the dealership that I bought it from, I'm going to take that off, and the Yukon on the tailgate. But we've got to close this fender gap. I've got the stuff to do it, just finding the time And so, like I said, the next video you guys see on this, we are going to close up some of this fender gap. Now, because we are driving this thing so much, chances are I'm not gonna go slam, and I couldn't find a rear spring, but we'll talk about that in the video where I lower it. Anyway, guys, if you did enjoy this video, like always, please smash that thumbs up button. If you are not subscribed, guys, go down there, hit that subscribe button. While you're down there, of course, ring the bell icon. That notifies you every single time we drop a video, and stay tuned to see this thing dropped.